Hello all, thank you for waiting. Today we're going live on writing jQuery style library using a pure JavaScript. I'm Dixanta Bahadur Shrestha, and this program is sponsored by CIBT, Chibasa Academy, Lisa Cafe, and B&W Travels. Before I go ahead, I would like to inform you about the upcoming event that is coming near around. So Sakura Festival 2019, presented by Chibasa Academy and Consultancy. This March 16, 2019, it's happening at CIBT premises, and it's a free entry where you can find a lot of, the Japanese cookies coming, there will be a small food festival. There will be a different kind of foods will be available. There will be different kind of Japanese items that you can purchase. There will be Japanese dress. You can also wear yukata during the period. Okay, let's start ahead. So before I start this event, this program, I would like to talk on something. If you know about the JavaScript, you may have seen few of the components, few of the functions that is available. For example, document.getElementById, like when you pass a element ID, then that returns you a single object. And if you can also select HTML tags, HTML elements using a document.getElementsByTag name, right? When you pass some HTML element, then that will return a collection of objects. So there is a S, you can find the get element C, so that returns your collection of objects. You can also select using a class name, that will return also a collection of objects. Then there is another interesting function that is available, query selector, that also returns a single object. And there is another one, query selector all, that returns you a collection of objects. Okay, before I start, I would like to show you a few examples of these. Let's see. Let's say I have a div element, right? Div element. I have written nothing, right? So if you write a JavaScript, if you write, for example, let's say ID equals to A, right? So this single component, this single HTML element can be select using a JavaScript. For example, var obj equals to document.getElementById, and you have to pass the ID value, that is A, right? So if you console.log the objects, right? So you will see the result over here. For example, if you inspect it, if you go to the console, it is returning you that div HTML element. It's here, right? Okay, so how to actually manipulate these things? Let me show you. Let's say if you want to change the background of this object, what you can do is you can use the style attribute dot background and equals to, let's say, red. And if you save it, then there is nothing I have written. So let me pass the value, hello world. If I save it, you can see it applied the red background. This is very simple, right? Or what you can do is, if you want to also pass the class elements, let's say if I have written certain classes, let's say box background is green, then border is 1 pixel, solid red, right? If you want to pass this style object, then what you can do is obj.class list, so that actually a array, right? So you can just pass the box, and there is the background. If you want to make it bigger, height, let's say 100 pixel, and then width is also 100 pixel, and that's the example, right? This is the simple example of like how to use the document.getElement by ID. Like you can pass a multiple classes. For example, let's say if you want to change the color, font color, let's say dot font dash color, and color is, let's say, white, right? So using the same object, you can pass obj dot class list dot add, then font dash color. If you save it, you can see the results. All right. So if you have the ID, if you know the ID, this document.getIn by ID is a very handy function, right? But the problem is, like there will be a various kind of divs. For example, let's say if I have a multiple divs, let's say 3 divs that I have, right? If I want to apply all the classes, all the available classes to these divs, this document.getElement by ID is not actually handy. So probably you'd be using document.getElements by tag name, right? And then div. You can do that one, right? So now the getElements by ID tag name actually like returns the collection of objects, right? So you cannot actually directly pass all these class lists. So what you have to do is you have to loop it through it. For example, let's say normal var I equals to 0, I less than obj.length, and then I plus plus, and then you have to select d equals to obj/I, and then you have to apply the rest of the things. For example, let's say d dot class list dot add, let's say box, it will apply the box, right? So if you want to change the color, d dot class list dot add, and then font dash color. Pretty cool, isn't it? Nice. This is also a simple example of like how to select using a tag name, right? Okay, so sometimes what actually happens is like you want to select different objects. For example, let's say there might be a h1 element, there might be a like div element, there might be some other elements, let's say h2 elements, right? So there are various kind of HTML elements. So how can you actually differentiate it? How can you actually differentiate it? For example, let's say you can use the same class. For example, let's say test, right? And then class equals to test, and again the class equals to test, right? So we have applied this test class to div element, h1 element, and the h2 element, right? So to do that one, like document.getElements by tag name, like that is not going to be handy, right? So to do that one, to select that one, you have to apply and you have to give the test classes. So that's how it works. Okay. So this is pretty simple, right? Actually, like I just wanted to show you, like how different kind of functions. So now there might be another problems. For example, let's say, right? Let's say, what if I have a div element, right? I have a div element, different div elements, and different div elements, they might have, like UL elements or A tags somewhere around there, right? A tags. So now, in these cases, you need to, like if you want to select with class name, if you want to select the class name of div A, and if you want to select a class name of div UL, for example, again, I'll apply the T, test, and test, right? in this situation, what is actually happening is the class test is applied into a various HTML elements. If you select using a class name, the UL and A tag, both HTML elements will be selected. But if I want to select the class name with UL only, then you need to use another function. For example, let's say B equals to document.querySelector, right? So this function can be used. For example, let's say if I want to select the div tag with UL that has test class, right? So let's console.log the D, what it will select, right? So look at the example. It only selected the UL tag with the class test. It didn't select the class tag with class A, right? So if you want to select the A one, then you can do this one, right? So this is pretty handy. This query selector actually, it selects only a single object. For example, let's say, like if the similar kind of div tags is there, right? It only selects the first one. Okay. So if you want to select all these things, then you can use query selector all method, and that will return you the list of HTML elements, right? So this is what actually we needed to work. All right, so now how to write our custom function that can actually help us, like apply multiple things, right? All right, so let's do this. I'll be writing a function. For example, let's say function cibt query, similar like a jQuery, right? Then what I will pass is I will pass the key, and that will return me document.querySelector all. Let's see what it does. All right, or maybe you can just use the dollar function. All right, so let's see what it does. Okay. All right, so now what I can do is dollar and then div, then I want to select the a dot test, and then that will return me a collection of actually div functions, right? Now let's say var call equals to, let's do this, and console.log call. So let's see what is the result. All right, so that selected actually a 2a tags, because we have 2a tags inside the div, and that has the class test, right? So now we need to apply certain style sheets or whatever it is, right? So you can use this $. For each, and then you can pass the callback function, right? So inside the callback function, you can just write the function, and I want to use the each C, and then another part is the index, right? So C will have a each element, right? So C dot, let's say, class list dot add, and I will apply the box. So let's see what happens. Okay, so that looks very small, right? So there is a small things. Okay, so I applied the class box. So let's see what actually happened. Did it inject the div? Okay, so there is the box. All right, and there is another one, box. All right, so what if I only use the div? This is how it looks, right? Now, if you want to make a jQuery style library, we will not be doing this one. What we'll be doing is we'll use a, let's say, var obj, right? And then, okay, so obj equals to document dot get element by id with the key, and we'll just return this. So now when you call this function, let's say, for example, console.log, let's see what it does. $. All right, so what it is actually returning. It's returning the window function because, like now it becomes the object, right? So let me apply, for example, if I want to, like inject certain text inside there, what I can do is, okay, so let's say this dot HTML equals to function. And then what I'm going to do is I require a value that needed to be passed inside there, right? Okay. So ever since we're using a document.query selector all, what we need to do is obj.for each and function, and there is the object, and then there is the index parameter that we pass. And okay, so o.inner HTML equals to val. So let's see how does it work. Now if I call div tag and then dot HTML function, and if I say h1 hello world, that's how it works, right? So what we did, all right, so we made a function called dollar and we passed the key, and then that key, using that key we selected using a document.query selector all, and we passed into the object, right? And then using that object, like we loop it through and we injected the value that we have passed, right? So let's say if you want to apply the styles, let's say CSS, what you can do is this dot CSS equals to function. Okay, we require a key and then we require a value. So maybe we can pass the key and v, k and v, right? So let's see what it does. Okay, now again it selects a collection of objects. So again we need to loop it through. You can copy the same function that we have used for the HTML, right? And then instead of this inner HTML, what you can do is dot style, and then style can be used as the array, and we pass the key and then we pass the value. All right, so ever since we are returning this, you can, what you can do is every time you set the function, then you can return this. Then returning this will actually help you in the method. Let's see, for example, dot CSS, then key is color, and I want to change the color to red, and I save it, and that's how it works, right? So basically using this simple technique that I can actually, like write your own library, right? And that helps you method chaining as well, right? So let's say we are using this both functions twice, right? So what you can do is you can write another function inside the function. For example, function selector, and there is the callback. Right. So what you can do is obj dot for each, and then there's the callback. All right, so let's see what happens. Or function o comma I. Okay, so we're looking for certain things. Okay, leave it for a while right now. I don't want to disturb this. So if you want to apply certain events on this one, what you can do is you can write a function called this dot on equals to function, and then again you require an event, so ev, let's say, and this dot add event, or for example, you can copy this and paste it, and instead of this, o dot add event listener, then there is the event, and then there is the callback, let's say ev comma callback. Okay. Doing this one, what you can do is now you can also apply the function. For example, it's a dot on click. You want to pass certain things. Okay. So alert, hello, world. All right. So let's try that out. So I clicked on this hello world, and that is giving me the alert message, right? So it's easily handling the event as well. So what we did is we applied HTML, then we applied, like a CSS, then we applied on. So how the $this function is actually working. For example, if I want to print out whatever the value is inside the, inside the text. So for example, let's say if I want to get the value, whatever it's written there, so we probably require this, right? So this dot, okay. So, or alert $this dot HTML. So ever since we haven't written anything that will give you the error, we haven't handled this $this yet. See, it's giving you the error. All right. So in this case, how to solve this problem? So what we need to do is if your type of key also equals to object, then obj equals to array of key. That's what we need to do. Else this is the thing. Then ever since we wanted, like for example, if you do not pass any variable, so that means if val equals to undefined, there's an undefined things. So undefined, that means you want to get the result, right? So that means what you need to do is you can return obj is the array 0 index, the first value, and then it's inner HTML. Just return it, right? Else, do this. I save it. Okay, so let's see if it is doing anything or not. Let's see. Okay, this gave me the hello world, whatever written inside there, right? So let's see if you want to write certain things. For example, let's say we apply the hello world to all the things, and let's also, for example, alert, and then we can also do this dot hide. We haven't actually wrote the hide function, so it gives you the error, right? If I click on that one, and then it giving me the alert message, and then there is the error because we haven't write anything for the hide method, right? So let's write the hide method as well. Is dot hide equals to function, and then what we require is we do not require any parameters, right? So again, you can copy this, and then you can paste, and what you want to do is you want to hide it. So o dot style dot display equals to none. Okay. Let's see what it does. It gave me the alert message, and then it's gone. I clicked on it, it's gone. I clicked on it, it's gone. I clicked on it, it's gone. Right? So let me refresh the page again. So there's the values. Now, if you want to show something, for example, let's say this dot show, you can write a function, and again, you can copy this, and then you can change it. Sorry. Instead of none, block, right? So let's see what it does. Okay, so let me add another div function, or let's say paste, right? Paste has nothing to do. All right, so let me add another h1 paste. So we want to select the h1 tag, right? So what we need to do is you can apply $h1 dot on click. So let's say if you want to show this a tag or h2 tag, right? This is hidden. Let me add style equals to display none. So h2 is display none. So if you replace it, you can't see anything, right? Because that is the hidden text. This is hidden. All right. So if you click on this one, if you want to display that h2 thing, right? So you can pass the callback method and all right. So $h2 dot show. So let's see what it does. I click on this one, this is coming, right? So this is the simple way of writing your own, like a JavaScript library and add on, like if you're not satisfied with the jQuery, if you're not happy with the jQuery itself and you want to trick around with your own functions, if you want to make your own library, this function can be really helpful, right? So for example, sometimes there can be like copyright issues and stuff like that. Like using these functions, you can manipulate the way you want, you can add your own functions, you can modify your own functions, you can do whatever you want, right? So this is a simple example of how to make your own custom jQuery style library. Hope you have learned a lot of things from here, all right? So thank you very much. If you want to learn more stuff, like you can write a comment, you can also contact us in the Facebook. You can like a page, you can like our page, Creators Institute of Business and Technology, right? So by the way, I wanted to give you one information, on the March 16th, right? March 16th 2019, we are expecting, Japanese IT companies are coming to CIBT, right, on March 16th. So if you have demonstrative skills, if you think you have a demonstrative skills, right? So you can contact us, you can email us at inquire@creators institute, right? So basically, we are actually, you can email us with your profile if you're interested to work for the Japanese company. They will be selecting you. There will be more informations that you can visit our office and find out more about it. All right. So if you're interested in working at the Japanese IT company, please don't forget to visit us. Right. So thank you very much. Thank you and see you all. Thank you. Have a good night.